What up, YouTube? Today we're gonna be watching The USA is Not Normal by Big Tug. My VC face is still not fully recording me for some reason. Oh, there we go. Okay. I just gotta. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. It is what it is. Oh, I was saying that, or I was gonna say, I honestly don't know how it works with streaming on YouTube because I think I'm gonna move over to YouTube. I don't have the capacity to stream on both platforms. That's for sure. Um so I'm gonna see which one is better for tits, because if I can use it on YouTube, that'd be cool. If not, then that's also cool. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Like, what do you guys feel? Let me know in the comments if you feel like I should be streaming on YouTube or Twitch, either one. I can make it work. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
Black Friday, an apocalyptic day where the average man will beat another man for the chance of a good deal. Like your first.
I honestly never understood the big deal of Black Friday because I feel like even back when I was a kid and people did go to the stores and would stand in line for hours, the deals would still happen throughout the like holiday season. So I never understood why people just wanted to be like so crowded in. But also, I hate freaking crowds this big, unless it's a concert or a festival. Then I am okay with it. Um. Oh look, now I'm moving. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I just never understood it.
Month of Extra Tug over at extratug.com for only $1. That's right, full access to the Extra Tug catalog for only $1 on your first month if you use discount code SELLOUT. Well, happy Thanksgiving, America. What, this old costume? Well, I thought I would get into the festive spirit when we're talking about Thanksgiving. And I'm gonna be real here. I was gonna make a whole video about Thanksgiving, and then I realized once you start breaking down Thanksgiving, shit gets real dark real fast. Like, not in a
No,
fun
it
way. Like, it was,
does.
it's like, I don't wanna be so liberal, but like, it really is a horrendous thing. Just murder.
It's
And
the
then they didn't even eat turkey.
worst.
That wasn't even a thing. They were eating fish and like berries, and they were all freezing to death. It was just, why do we celebrate this? So instead, I'm gonna wear this dumb
I don't know.
costume and talk about what I'm thankful for. And personally, I'm thankful to live in such a consistently weird-ass country. You know, America. A collection of loose states floating around in Uncle Sam's cargo shorts. It's insane that 50 states make up one country, especially since most of the time it feels like we're all just winging it and making up who can sell fireworks all willy-nilly. But we're the land of the free, goddamn. And we take that little saying seriously, even if we have to get weird about it. Everything from our laws to our traditions is mismatched and contradictory and a little f***ed up. So get yourselves comfy with that big old belly full of cranberry jam and turkey. Why is cranberry?
We're definitely nowhere near Thanksgiving season right now.
Jam a normal thing to eat on Thanksgiving? We don't do it any other day, and I find that disgusting. But like I said, settle in, because today we're making a speed round video that is going to be absolutely peppered with patriotism. God, that's so hard to say. This video is also going to be extra long because why not? I don't work for a living, and I should be putting a little more effort in. So get ready to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the weirdest facts of America.
It's like a four-syllable word. Four-syllabic, multi-syllabic word.
So we're gonna do this alphabetically, I believe, I would assume. Yeah, alphabetically. And we're gonna do it first with Alabama.
Alabama.
Right? That wasn't a southern accent. Let me try that again. Alabama. There you go. That's a little bit better. So like I said in this video, I'm just gonna rapid fire every dumb fact I can find out about a state, and then you in the comments can be like, hey, that's my state.
Oh my god. I've driven through Alabama just one time. It was scary. As a little Latina, it was so scary. I drove through it when I was moving from Florida up to a northern state. And Bobby's was a mere kitten. He was a baby. He was only like a few weeks old at that point. I'm trying to remember. He must have been like 3, 4 months old max. He was a little bitty little baby. And I knew I was gonna have to stop and like get him a blanket at some point because it was like during the winter season that I moved. But like once you leave Florida, it's freezing. So anyway, we stopped.
1 hour later.
I think that in a way I did grow up pretty privileged to be in a multicultural melting pot of a city. And then I was like, oh, I understand. I think I've always like experienced like a form of racism, but I've never had been followed in a store before. That was like my first time being followed in a store, and I was like in for a rude awakening in my early 20s. So I don't know. I would never visit Alabama ever again. Chef tried getting me to go to Alabama last year, and I was like, fuck no, I'm not doing that.
It's just algorithm bait. That's all I'm doing. I'm just doing algorithm bait. I'm completely giving up on this career. So to begin, the town of Scottsboro, Alabama is home to the ultimate thrift store, the Unclaimed Baggage Center. If you've ever lost a bag while traveling, this is where that bag ends up, in Scottsboro, Alabama. Why is that a thing? In 2024, airlines mishandled 36 million bags, and the U.S. Bureau of Transportation estimates they lost 2 million of those. Then the airlines sell those bags to the Unclaimed Baggage Center. I don't feel like they should legally be allowed to sell things that they f***ed up, but whatever. Each day, 7,000 new items arrive at the store, and they aren't just Hawaiian shirts and 2-ounce bottles of shampoo either. The Unclaimed Baggage Center draws 1 million people to Scottsboro every year because you can get screaming deals on all types of goods.
Cool.
Eagle-eyed shoppers can get vintage Louis Vuitton bags and Rolex watches. And once again, this is shit that people pretty much had stolen from them. What is going on? In 2014, a platinum Rolex worth $64,000 sold for $32,000. But since the store buys the luggage sight unseen, they can get some pretty weird shit in their store, like a funeral casket, or a jar of shark teeth, live rattlesnakes, and body parts from one of the actual Saw movies. Once again, I need you guys, can you do a little more Googling for me? Because I found this, but I just can't believe this exists. Next up is Alaska. One of those states that a lot of Americans kind of forget is a state, and also a lot of Americans think is an island because of the way we put it on the map, and that's just goddamn embarrassing. My brother thought Alaska was an island this year, and he is 29. He is 30 years old. He thought it when he was 29. He also thought that coal comes from charcoal. Like if you burn enough wood, you get coal. This man owns a car and drives it. But the U.S. purchased Alaska from Russia in 1867, but it wasn't immediately granted statehood. After several decades of flying the American flag, Alaskan officials wanted to...
Guys, please tell me, you know Alaska is attached to Canada. For the love of God, if any of you think it's an island, at least you're learning and growing.
Good job!
But the education system. No child left behind. Oh well, here we go.
Create their own flag to represent the territory, and they hope that in doing so, they can inch ever closer to becoming an actual American state. And how did they go about getting a design? Well, they crowdsourced children, which is what I do when I need to make merch. In 1927, they had the Alaskan American Legion hold a flag designing contest open to children from 7th to 12th grade. Yes, Alaska pretty much asked an entire Chuck E. Cheese worth of children to do an official government thing for them. But the winning submission wasn't that impressive. It was just a kid who drew a bunch of stars. That's lazy. That's phoning it in, Todd. I assume his name was Todd, or her name was Todd. I do want to make fun of this flag really badly, but it was designed by a middle school orphan. I have my limits. I will not jab fun at an orphan. Actually, his name wasn't Todd, but Benny Benson, which sounds even more made up than Todd. But he lost his mother to pneumonia at the age of 3, and then his house burned down. And sometimes you gotta ask God what's going on up there. His father couldn't raise Benny and his siblings, so he sent them to an orphanage. But things weren't all bad for Benny, because for designing this flag, he got a watch. Every orphan needs a watch, and a $1,000 scholarship. So who needs free education when you can just give orphans money? And once Alaska became a state in 1959, Benny's flag became the official state flag. So the next time you meet someone from Alaska, There's nothing to say here, because you will never meet someone from Alaska. Going down the list alphabetically, we have Arizona. That's right. Good job. And going from Alaska to Arizona means we're shifting gears from orphans to prostitutes. According to urban legend, Maricopa County used to be the home of tons of brothels. So local officials passed a law stating that no more than 6 unrelated women could live together. But personally, I call bullshit on this supposed law. If more than 6 unrelated women can't live together, then how do you explain the 3-time WNBA champion Phoenix Mercury? I follow that sport. And don't tell me the entire Mercury team doesn't live together. That's like telling me that the president and the vice president aren't best friends and drink milkshakes with 2 straws. There are actually a lot of absurd sounding state laws like this which have been passed around the internet for years, but many of them are false. So why am I spreading this information? For clicks. But also, I'm not. I'm debunking it, you f***ing nerd, leave me alone. As sexist and crazy as this law sounds, many people in Arizona have taken this law at face value. Obviously, 6 women living together doesn't mean it's a brothel. It could mean they're starting a ska band or they're in a big lesbian polycule. Though the internet helped spread this fake law, it's been around since at least the 60s and is cited as a reason why Arizona State University has a lack of sorority houses. So not to get on my high horse here, but if something sounds so insane...
What? For real? Anyone who went to university in Arizona can confirm this, please, or deny this information? That's insane. I mean, I would... Yeah, alright.
Can't be true. Maybe just Google it. That's literally what my entire job is. It's not that f***ing hard. Anyway, nothing else interesting about Arizona. Pretty boring state, unless you dig turquoise or hate daylight savings time. Next up, we have...
I do want to go to Arizona and see the Grand Canyon. That is a dream of mine. To be able to see the Grand Canyon in person. I just feel like it would be so beautiful to look at it. I know my intrusive thought will say throw yourself off the canyon, but I probably won't do it. There's like a 99% chance I wouldn't, you know?
Stop it. Get some help.
Arkansas, otherwise known as Arkansas. What a dumb spelling for a dumb state. Arkansas is a weird state to spell, so it's not surprising.
It's so I just don't get it. And see, this is why I'm like, the English language confuses me. And I've known how to speak English for forever, as you can see from my amazing skills right here. But why is Arkansas and not Arkansas? Like, I want to call it Arkansas every freaking time, but I know it's freaking Arkansas. Where did the final S go?
That early on, even its own citizens had a hard time pronouncing it. It's still one of the most commonly mispronounced states to this day, but while people who still say Washington might have their own accent or dialect to blame, Arkansas kind of did this to themselves. I don't know how else to say this, but Arkansas, you didn't spell your name right. You goofed up on the paperwork. Obviously, on paper, it looks like Arkansas, plain and simple. Ugly as hell. And that's why it's particularly absurd that there's an Arkansas state law that prohibits mispronouncing Arkansas. And look, I'm from Massachusetts. Massive two tits. Massive shoe shit. I have no leg to stand on here. Not only is our state name hard to pronounce, but pretty much all of our towns are spelled one way and then pronounced like our mouths are full of Boston cream pie. But we don't go around making laws about how to pronounce our town names. Every time I fly into Worcester Airport and the flight attendant calls it Worcester, I just punch him in the gut and move on. That has nothing to do with laws. But while there is an 1881 law stating how to say Arkansas, it does not include a legal penalty for mispronouncing it. So you can say Arkansas all you want, and those nerds in cornfields will do nothing about it legally. They might shoot you, but they'll have no leg to stand on in court, so that's good. That brings us to our first C on the list, which is California. Wow, actually, we skipped over the letter B. There's no states that start with B. That cannot be true. New Hampshire? No. But Connecticut? Nope, straight to C's, just like my high school report card. I still went to college, though. Education's a scam. Anyway, California is weird enough without having to make a big deal of it, right? I mean, in the early 2000s, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor. And for the record, I've never been to California, and I pretty much hated everyone I've ever met from California, but that doesn't mean I hate the state, you know? It's just very shocking to see someone so fake nice on the East Coast. And in that vein, you have to admit that it's pretty much a punchline that hardly needs a setup, the state of California. This is the home of Hollywood, Death Valley, wine country, and tech startups. It's an absurd place, so it isn't too shocking that in 1963, Carmel, California put a law in the books banning anyone from wearing high heels. Now you might be asking yourself, Tucker, California, home of traditional fashion? Who's
Right.
putting a kibosh on the fashionistas in Carmel? And you'd be right, except that the city allows anyone to wear high heels if they have a permit, which you can get for free at City Hall. Now, this law doesn't seem to be enforced, but it does seem to be a safeguard against anyone suing the city for putting their high heel in a grate or some shit and twisting their ankle. Also, while researching Carmel, California, I found out that Clint Eastwood was their mayor from 1986 to 1988. So California is just a weird place to begin with. But for the California residents who like the state,
this is how we ended up over here, guys. Why are we listening to movie stars and television stars?
State of California and all the that's going on there naturally, but don't like people who are from California because they all suck, you have Colorado. Between 2000
If you don't like my comment, get the fuck out. I don't need you guys here. Bye.
Bye, have a great time.
2009 and 2019, more than 200,000 Californians moved to Colorado, making up nearly 17% of all new residents. And everyone is moving to Colorado. Everyone knows someone who moved to Colorado. I don't know what that state has going for it, but my brother lives there now, and he talks about it like it's God's country. So, I don't know.
The one that didn't know that Alaska is not an island?
The mountains are nice. They have gophers everywhere, whatever they're called. Prairie dogs, they're adorable. But I don't know what, weed and guns. That's what pretty much all they have. And at first glance, Colorado seems pretty average. It's right in the middle of the country. It's rectangular, no big deal. But the Denver airport, on the other hand, is weird as all and they were the
It's cursed. It's cursed. And the way they lean into it too was ridiculous. I love it. Aliens are real. We've come to take your brain.
first state to legalize recreational marijuana, so something funky is going down in the Rocky Mountains. But the weirdest fact I can find about Colorado, or at least one worth mentioning because everyone knows a lot of facts about Colorado for some reason, is that the fact they turned down the Olympics. That seems like, I don't know, kind of a dick move. Denver won the
Wait. Don't they have an Olympic training center? Weird.
to host the 1976 Winter Games, but their citizens literally voted against it. Fears over pollution, high costs, and increased population squashed Colorado's chance at the world stage. Ironically, 2 years later, the Olympic Training Center would open in Colorado Springs, which also serves as the headquarters for the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. Also, they eat bull testicles. Colorado people eat balls. They eat them. It's crazy. Also known as Rocky Mountain oysters. You want to put that in your mouth? Probably not, but Coloradians, give me... Oh, they're taking two at a time. This is foul. And the only reason you call them oysters is so you can hide your shame or trick new people into eating them. That's disgusting. I haven't done it. I'm not going to do it. Gross. Next up is the state that I live 20 minutes from the border from, which is Connecticut. Massachusetts' ugly little brother. I like these East Coast states because their history almost always revolves around a fear of witches. Even though
I've never met anyone from Connecticut. Hi, Connecticut.
the Salem witch trials are well documented and often taught in schools, Connecticut is the home of America's first witch trial. The Connecticut witch trials lasted from 1647 to 1663 and led to the execution of 11 whole people. Like any witch trial at this time, it was just the product of mass hysteria and kind of bullying people into admitting they were witches. But
honestly, yeah. It's like, hey, we're gonna put this brick on over blah blah blah. We're gonna put this brick, tie it around your ankle. And then if you float, you're a witch. If you die, you're not a witch. Genius plan. What can possibly go wrong?
I mean, in the 17th century, anytime a woman didn't seem right with God and someone got sick, witchcraft was suspected. And that's what happened to Alice Young. Alcy? That's a weird name from a long ago time. She was the first American colonist accused of being a witch on the flimsy premise that too many people around her were dying. Today it was suspected that it was the flu, but back then they believed in Jesus and no medicine. It was 1647, people were dropping all.
Have any of you gotten sick with the new flu variant? I know a lot of people right now are sick, and it just sucks. Like, it looks like it's not. I mean, getting the flu always sucks. But I guess the flu shot's not working. So a lot more people are getting sick. And I don't know, by the looks of it, it's lasting a good week or so. It's crazy.
Around this broad, let's string her.
I hope none of you have it, but if you do get it, I hope you get over it really quick.
Fire those. But yeah, she was hung. Didn't mean to make light about that. Happened a long time ago, though. I think we can joke about it. Probably not, though. It's probably sexist. I'm wearing a pilgrim costume. But basically, in the 17th century, any coincidence that didn't sit well with the village was blamed on the nearest woman who wasn't deemed pious enough. In 2023, just 1,000 years after, the Connecticut House of Representatives voted to exonerate the 12 convicted witches of the colonial era. The vote was 121 in favor and 30 against. Are these the long-descended relatives of the people who put these witches on trial? Who's voting against this? That should be public record who voted against exonerating these witches. Because these people definitely fucking believe in witches. And they should not be in whatever. The House of Representatives of Connecticut? I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know each state had a House of Representatives.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about local government. Up next,
oh my God.
Delaware. I've been very vocal about how I think Delaware is the dumbest, worst state of all time. I hate Delaware.
No. I know someone from Delaware. Yay.
Delaware with a passion, and it's not a
Delaware.
joke. I understand, people hate certain states. I genuinely, I'm not doing a bit. Delaware sucks. I hate Delaware so much. It's a nothing state. It took a triangle out of Maryland, and it's acting like it's worth a shit. And yes, they always say, oh, it's the first state. We were the first state. Because you put the paperwork in first. You looked around at the bullshit around you and said, we have nothing going on. Quick, Tom, write on the piece of paper. That's the only thing you guys have in the softball hall of world famous, whatever. You guys do. Chris, look at what they do with softball. I think they have the World Series there every once in a while. I don't know. It's a dog shit state, but there's other facts here that I have to read. I just want you guys to know I'm not kidding. I really hate Delaware. I mean, it made me almost not vote for Joe Biden. I'm dead set. Delaware is the least populated state in America, but it's become known as the corporate capital of the U.S. Delaware has a little over 1 million residents, yet it is home to 2 million incorporated businesses.
Wow.
So we're not talking about mom and pop shops. We're talking about
Bro, what? What in the capitalism?
heavy hitters like CVS, Comcast, Amazon, all the evil ones. They're taking advantage of how desperate Delaware is for anything. 65% of all Fortune 500 companies call Delaware home because of its business-friendly laws. Delaware doesn't require company members or shareholders to disclose their names, so you can do the shiesty without any accountability. They also have a separate court system that handles corporate cases, so you can really juice up the judge. It's all dog shit. The court system is well developed, and the rules and rules
like, come here, judge. Let me give you a sloppy topic. I'm just kidding.
Things are very predictable, which lets businesses know exactly how their cases will be handled. And Delaware has no corporate income tax, no inheritance tax on stocks held by non-residents, and no state sales tax. So if you want to do some business, go to Delaware. And if you want to die, be born in Delaware. Because I'm coming for your ass. Pause. What's next on the list? It's going to get better. Florida. All right.
You know what, dude? Never mind. I don't know anyone from Delaware. Don't come after me, Tug. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. The state I grew up in, guys. Knowing that Florida man exists, I'm like, he's gonna go hard on Florida for sure.
That was on me. I was asking for that. Now we all know Florida and how dog.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me go back. I didn't hear it.
Delaware. Because I'm coming for your ass. Pause. What's next on the list? It's gonna get better. Florida. All right, that was on me. I was asking for that. Now we all know Florida and how dog it is. I made a video about it. But I'm gonna go ahead and remind you all that it's the only place in the entire world where crocodiles and alligators coexist. I hate alligators and I hate crocodiles. These things are terrifying.
To be honest, I still don't know the difference between which one looks like what. They're both equally as terrifying to look at. Yet, I will drive to the Everglades and stop at bridges to look at these motherfuckers. Be like, oh, they're so cute. They're so cute.
Fine, they're dinosaurs but alive, and I hate that. But honestly, there's so many fun facts about Florida that I already talked about in my Florida video that if you care about Florida enough to learn about it, go watch the video on that. But you guys have Disney and crocodiles, that's all that matters. And you have...
We're gonna watch it because I do love Florida. I miss Florida sometimes. Sometimes. Being the key word.
Swamps and Mickey Mouse, whatever. I hate Delaware. All right, up next is Georgia. While Florida is prepping planet Earth for the apocalypse, their upstairs neighbor Georgia is getting busy with my hall pass, certifiable baddie, Lady Cluck. After World War II, chicken replaced cotton as Georgia's biggest agricultural moneymaker. In 1961, Gainesville wanted to drum up a little PR for their poultry, so they passed an ordinance making it illegal to eat fried chicken with anything besides your hand.
Oh, okay. With anything but your hands. Okay.
Which, okay, haha, funny joke, Gainesville, putting people in jail for eating chicken with a fork. But to reiterate the point, they passed the ordinance again in 1980. So
What?
obviously they're not
Believe it or not, jail right away.
around about that for some reason. Only one person has ever been arrested for breaking this law, Ginny Dietrich, on her 91st birthday. It was an elaborate prank orchestrated by
She
her
deserved
friends,
it.
and it included an officer to read her the citation, and the Gainesville mayor on hand to pardon her, along with the president of the Georgia Poultry Foundation, who named her an honorary Georgia Poultry Princess. What did I just say? The mayor was there? This might seem like a really big wholesome prank for a 9.
I know Zaxby's has expanded to other places in the South, but if I ever do go to Georgia in Zaxby's, I'm gonna definitely pull out my knife and fork and try this out.
21-year-old woman, but you guys doing any work over there in Gainesville? Seems like everyone was available for this. God forbid a meteor struck the cafe they were all sitting in, because then half the government of Gainesville would be dead. Moving down the line, we have Hawaii, a state where it seems iffy. I don't think people in Hawaii want to be part of Hawaii, and I'm pretty sure it has a up history. But I picked a fun fact about that instead. Hawaii is a hot button issue a lot of the time because a lot of reasons. I suggest you Google them, but did you also know in Hawaii it's illegal to put coins in your ear?
Oh.
Trying to keep things fun on this one. And why is it illegal to put coins in your ear? Well, to begin, Hawaii was illegally overthrown by the US in 1893.
Yep.
All right. Guess we can't avoid it. A group of American businessmen just decided that they wanted it. And I know that it's definitely more complicated than that, but that's generally the gist of what happened.
Isn't that
Taking over
always the
Hawaii
gist?
involved destroying their infrastructure, which included their money. There was a push to destroy the natives' currency and replace it with our own version, you know, the penny, the thing that we're now actively trying to get rid of. But to preserve their own money, Hawaiians would hide coins in their ears. And this practice was banned in order to aid the destruction of their own currency. Today, while you wouldn't be arrested for it, a coin behind the ear has become a signal for drug dealers in Hawaii. So overall, just a cluster of what.
At least now I know how to get my drugs if I ever did go to Hawaii. But also, I feel like Hawaii is one of those places I could not, in good conscience, travel to. It looks beautiful, but feels icky.
Just the white man ruining things. Also, my uncle found a lot of coins behind my ear back in the day, so lock me up for selling meth at the age of 3. Moving on from drugs to death, we have Idaho. Potatoes. Heard of them? Well, Idaho is famous for its potatoes, producing
I love potatoes. I don't think I would ever go to Idaho, though.
nearly 30% of all American spuds. It's actually home to 1% of Yellowstone National Park. In this 50 square mile plot of the national
Okay, maybe I would, because I do want to go to Yellowstone, so never mind.
park is known as the Zone of Death.
Oh!
Interesting. This is theoretically the only place in America where you can legally get away with murder due to a loophole created.
Never mind. If chef ever insists on taking me here, he probably wouldn't.
By the US Constitution. The way it works is pretty straightforward. If someone were to commit a crime, even something as sinister as cold-blooded murder, they could evoke their 6th Amendment right to be tried by a jury from the state and district where the crime occurred. But in this case, the jury doesn't physically exist because no one lives in the portion of Idaho's Yellowstone National Park. And they can't just pull a jury from the state of Idaho because Congress gave all of Yellowstone to the federal district of Wyoming. Now, to end the loophole, lawmakers could simply split Yellowstone into the district courts for the states that it encompasses. However, some people believe that politicians are reluctant to legislate this because it would allow the more liberal Ninth Circuit to preside over Yellowstone. They might be more friendly to those pesky environmentalists who are trying to save the world. So instead, they'll allow people to die in Idaho. It sounds like a
Death over conservation! USA! USA! Oh. I hate it here sometimes.
fair deal. That was all so hard to say. Chris, do a supercut of me f***ing that up over and over again. I gotta change the battery. And to end the loophole, lawmakers could simply split Yellowstone into this. Now to end the loophole, lawmakers could simply split Yellowstone into the district courts of. Lawmakers could simply split Yellowstone into district courts for the states that it. My God, Jimmy, why the f*** would I read this? Now to end the loophole, lawmakers could simply split Yellowstone into the district courts for the states that it encompasses. That is insane what he wants me to read here. Now to end the loophole, lawmakers could simply split. Some people believe that politicians are reluctant to. Some people believe that politicians are reluctant to. Some people believe that politicians are.
See, I'm glad I'm not the one doing this because I am dyslexic as fuck. I would have had to like stop and reread everything like a million times.
God, this is so hard to read. Some people believe that politicians are reluctant to legislate this because it would allow more liberal Now, it's crazy how vague legal language could lead to deaf loopholes, but the great state of Illinois isn't falling for that one. They are very clear when they use their own legal language. That's why from 1923 to 1969, their official state language was American. That's right, Illinois' official state language was American. None of that dumb English bullshit for us, thank you. So you probably see the irony here, but let me just point it out because it brings me joy. If your official state language is intended to be in English, but you write it into law as American, which isn't a language, then it must mean that you're extremely bad at your own official language. It took over 4 decades, but eventually Illinois lawmakers quietly changed the official language to English. And also in Illinois, there was a lady called Lori Lightfoot who was an insane person, and she was so fun to watch on the news every day. God, I was so happy to live in Chicago during the era of Lori Lightfoot. I think she's this big. It's crazy. But let's say you're in Chicago and you want to see everything the Midwest has to offer. Well, head on over to Indiana where gets sad so fast. No offense, Indiana, but you're like a warm glass of milk, but like not like you didn't try to make it warm. Something happened and made it warm. Your state's half wholesome and half dangerous as it's terrifying. But they're also weird about soda and water. In Indiana, it's illegal to sell cold soda or water in a liquor store. Now, the key word here is cold. You can sell unrefrigerated waters and soda. That's fine. Doesn't matter to the cops. But the root of this law stems from Indiana liquor stores trying to keep grocery stores from stealing their business by selling cold beer. Basically, at the moment, there's sort of a gentleman's agreement. The water and soda sold in liquor stores is warm, and the beer sold in grocery stores is equally room temp. So like I said, Indiana, warm glass of milk. Things are just weird here. And Michael Jackson is from Indiana and Hoosier, whatever a Hoosier is. But Iowa, on the other hand, is doing things right. Do you guys remember Iowa? It is a state. Sure, they're the largest producers of corn in America, and 90%.
Sorry. I also just remembered that when I did move from Florida to further up north, I did not know that liquor stores couldn't sell anything past a certain time. And then, or even like restaurants couldn't sell liquor or any kind of alcohol after a certain time in certain states. But also, some liquor stores were closed on Sundays, and I was like, what the heck? How are people still alcoholics? I guess they just like go to the liquor store on Saturday and just stack up. But that to me was insane. Also, I didn't know that bars close and like clubs stop selling alcohol past like midnight or 2 a.m. in some places. But in some places, they will allow strip clubs to sell alcohol. So sometimes you just gotta go out there and see some titties.
Sauna all.
Of its land is devoted to agriculture, which objectively is boring, pretty boring as a state. But the Hawkeye State is also home to Iowa 80, the world's largest truck stop. This isn't your average truck stop. It sits on 220 acres and has a parking lot that accommodates 900 trucks. It sees 5,000 daily visitors, employs over 400 people, and it features the largest trucker store in America, a 30,000 square foot showroom selling tons of accessories and displaying tricked out trucks. But that's not all. Iowa 80 also features a food court that dishes out 90 tons of meat a year, along with the 50-foot salad bar. There's a lounge, a game room, a business center, a gym, a laundromat, a barber shop, a dentist, a chiropractor, a movie theater. Come on down to Iowa 80. We should probably reach out and see if they'll sponsor this video, because that was a big sales pitch, but it's a thing that exists, so I have to mention it. But Iowa, we're talking about Kansas now. A way cooler state than Iowa, Kansas. You know, while some states decide to lean into the whimsy of life like Iowa, Kansas decidedly says no to all that shit.
Even Kansas City. If you go to Kansas City, go to Missouri. Don't waste your time in Kansas State.
Wichita, it's illegal for people over the age of 14 to use playground equipment. And look, I understand where that's coming from. Children should be playing with children, and adults shouldn't get into the mix. But call me romantic for life, but seeing a grown man on a swing set at least once a year brings my heart joy. Even I enjoy a swing set every once in a while just daydreaming about the inevitable march to my death. and the slow eroding way time moves quicker every single moment. But you can't do that in Kansas. But thankfully, Kentucky hasn't entirely killed their charm for childlike wonder. The town of Rabbit Hash, which is Rabbit Hash, that's a real town in Kentucky. They have never had a human mayor because only dogs have occupied the mayor's office. Kentucky. They were real racist at a point. We can't ignore that. But since 1998, the citizens of Rabbit Hash have elected 6 dog mayors. And the craziest part of this is that it all happened by accident. I don't know. Let's explain that. Legitimate humans ran in Rabbit Hash's first ever mayoral race in 98, but they lost the vote to a dog named Goofy. And the town decided to just run with the bit. A blue tick coonhound named Boone is currently the mayor. He won the 2024 race with 14,150 votes, the most ever voters for a Rabbit Hash mayoral candidate. The vote tally is a little suspicious, seeing that the town only has 127 citizens. So listen, the conservatives love talking about unfair elections. Maybe look into this one, because this I'll give you a pass. Maybe we should get the feds in on this. But I guess if you're voting for a dog mayor, laws are not applicable. But you know who's no stranger to thinking outside of the box when it comes to animals? Louisiana. And what animal are we talking about? Hippos. Didn't think that would happen. In the early 20th.
I need to hear this out. Louisiana and hippos? Hippos are insane freaking animals, bro.
Century, the United States was confronted with 2 problems: a meat shortage and invasive plants. As some southern politicians saw it, the solution was simple.
God, is this another freaking toad invasion like thing? If you don't understand what I'm talking about, go see one of my other videos that I talk about Australia and toads. But oh my god. Stop putting species where they don't belong.
Words. Hippopotamus ranches. And once again, we're not doing healthcare. Don't worry about that, we're doing this. Yeah, politicians thought the bayous of Louisiana would be a great spot for raising hippos. In the meantime, the hippos would eat the invasive plants that were killing fish and clogging waterways, and then once they had their fill,
doing what they were brought here to do.
Burgers. The New York Times even called this potential new cuisine lake cow bacon. I can't think of something grosser than a lake cow. I just imagine. Have you ever smelled a lake? In 1910, Louisiana Representative Robert F. Broussard proposed a bill to Congress that would allow hippos to be imported from Africa. And then Congress looked him square in the eye and said, "The f*** you talking about, Robbie? No, absolutely not. Shoot it down." And honestly, this was probably for the best. Hippos are one of the deadliest animals to ever walk the earth, killing upwards of 500 people a year. So, like, imagine having a cousin in Louisiana and you're like, dude, it's like whenever you tell someone you live in a big city and they're like, aren't you running from building to building, dodging gunfire? And you're like, no. But if someone lived in Louisiana and they passed this bill, you'd be like, how are you doing with the hippos, bud? Are you gonna be okay? That was a convoluted story I just told. I don't even know how to pivot from the last state to this state. I don't have a fun little in-between, so we're just going to talk about Maine now. I like Maine. A lot of people don't think about Maine. So we're just going to say this. In Portland, Maine.
I do want to go to Maine at some point and eat their lobsters. Or like the Maine rolls. Lobster rolls. Sounds really good. Also, waterfront. Also beautiful.
It's illegal to tickle a woman's chin with a feather duster.
What?
That's a real thing. Now, this sounds like one of those old-timey laws that's rooted in, like, religion or sexism or racism, but it's actually not an old puritanical law. It was put into effect in 1986. But in case you were wondering, there is no law about tickling a man's chin with a feather duster, so what's going on there? Portland, Maine? What's going on up there? I literally, there's nothing here. I can't find anything about this besides the fact that the law exists. So you guys can do research for me. That'd be fantastic. I'm just so confused. Next up is Maryland, home of my friend Josh, and also crabs. Food kind, not the penis kind. But Baltimore, Maryland has a lot of weird goth things going on, because not only is it the final resting place of Edgar Allan Poe, but it's also where the Ouija board was invented. The worst spelled thing ever. While the idea of spirit boards is centuries old and has roots in ancient civilizations, an American spiritualist movement following the Civil War had many citizens attempted to communicate with the dead, likely the result of 750,000 people dying in the Civil War. Whoops, it was worth it though. Capitalizing on the trend, a coffin maker in Chestertown started producing what we know now as Ouija boards in 1886.
I did not know the origins of the Ouija board. I don't know why I always felt scared of the Ouija board. I feel like tarot reading cards are okay, but the Ouija board for some reason always gave me the heebie-jeebies. Knowing the history of it, I think it's fine. yeah, I don't think it'll do much. If you have any stories about the Ouija board, let me know. Would definitely love to read it and then not be able to fall asleep. That'd be cool.
A few years later, his idea was stolen by a businessman who moved to Baltimore and pitched the idea to a local attorney whose sister-in-law was a medium. Are you following me? A lot of characters in this story about a dumb piece of wood. Those two would patent the boards, and in just a few short years, nearly 2,000 Ouija boards were sold weekly. Today, Ouija boards are manufactured by Hasbro, which is very confusing to me. They make...
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's a Barbie, but also, here, let's communicate with the dead so I can possess the Barbie.
Magic, they make D&D, they make Monopoly and Candyland, and they also make Ouija boards where you can talk to the dead. I don't know how they got into this game. But the old Baltimore building where they first produced the Ouija boards is now 7-Eleven. So it's fun. We're all having fun. But you know who's really afford of Ouija boards? Me. And me being Catholics. Catholics do not like Ouija boards, and we're talking about Massachusetts now. 38% of the population of my home state
I was raised Catholic, so that makes sense.
is Catholic. So it makes sense that, even though in Massachusetts we have a separation of church and state, that it is actually illegal to commit blasphemy in Massachusetts. Just a bunch of pilgrim shit going on up there, brother. The 1641 version of the anti-blasphemy law was so intense that it was punishable by death. Things calmed down slightly after the Constitution was ratified and freedom of speech became protected. However, state law still dictates that whoever willfully blasphemes the holy name of God shall be punished by imprisonment in jail for not more than 1 year or by a fine of not more than $300 and may also be bound to good behavior, which I don't know what, I'm assuming that's parole. But if you've ever lived anywhere near Boston, you know that this would be almost impossible to hold up. The sheer number of goddammits I hear on a daily basis are Jesus Christ. It's just, those motherfuckers are constantly doing that. So good luck to the Boston PD. Up next is Michigan, the state that looks like a mitten. And when you ask someone in Michigan where they live, they point to like a part in their hand as if it's cute, and I find it obnoxious. Anyway, so Michigan might find itself using the Lord's name in vain at the end of every fiscal year because the state loses an estimated $10 million annually due to neighboring states taking advantage of their recycling laws. God forbid you do a good thing and Wisconsin's like, yeah, take our garbage, you f***ing dork. In 1976, voters passed the bottle bill, which placed a 10-cent deposit on all bottles of beer, soda, and water. Currently, 10 states have deposits on bottles, but most of those are 5-cent deposits. And that's probably so they don't get fleeced like Michigan does. But there is a silver lining here. Even though Michigan loses millions on fraudulent deposits, they make up for it in the nearly 15 million annual unclaimed deposits. And most of the money is deposited into Michigan's environmental fund. So we're all having fun here. Kind of confused on the whole situation. I don't really get how money works. Moving on to Minnesota. Minnesota. Get you a baking cookies. I don't no. Minnesota doesn't have a deposit on empty beer bottles, but in taverns across the state, residents crush bottles of beer while combining two of their favorite things.
Shout out to Minnesota for being Minnesota nice and standing for what you guys believe in. I know it's probably, but y'all support feels really nice to see, and standing up for the little people. And yeah, just it's been hard to watch what's been happening, but I think that a lot of us immigrants can feel the love coming from you guys. So just thank you a lot.
Meat and gambling. Meat raffles are all the rage in Minnesota, and they sound exactly what they sound. They are exactly what they sound like. You win meat. You buy a raffle ticket, usually around $1 or $2, and then the lucky winner gets their number called and takes home a package of raw meat. There isn't a specific type of meat that you find here. It runs the gamut between pounds of bacon and raw chicken, but it's estimated that meat raffles in Minnesota raise millions of dollars for charity and youth sports organizations every year. Is it just me, or does the Midwest sound like a dripping drunk fever dream of just meat, sweats, and booze? People who don't know about the Midwest really should go visit. It is a f***ing godless land. Now, you know how most
I did always want to go to Minnesota for the Mall of Americas. That mall looks amazing. And to be able to ride a roller coaster in the middle of the mall sounds so cool.
people treat their dogs like actual children. Well, studies back up this trend, showing that 82% of pet owners consider their animal family members. And 43% of people actually favor animals, pets, over real children. And I'm in that camp. Kids piss me off. But in the town of
No, for
Temperance,
real.
Mississippi, it is illegal to walk your dog outside without it wearing a diaper. Imagine putting a diaper on your dog. It would look ridiculous and adorable, but then you have to take the poop diaper off your dog. So obviously this is a law to stop dogs from shitting around the town, but it does add to the overall pet as a child vibe. But you know, watching a dog walking around in a cute little diaper does sound fun, but once again, the way their body is shaped like that, poop is going to be rubbing into them. It's not, that's not how that works with diapers, I assume. So
We don't do that here.
I don't know. Maybe it's not cute. Maybe it's disgusting. But speaking of
Bobby's soils himself every time we take him to the vet. It's pretty gross. I always have to clean him up. It's very sad. The new vet I've been taking him to will clean him if he soils himself like during the visit, but sometimes he'll soil himself on the way back home because he gets really anxious. But yeah, it's like a whole ordeal. It takes a long time because he's traumatized from the vet. He doesn't want to be touched. And I get it. I have to give him space, clean in little pieces here and there. So, I don't know, to walk your dog and then have to clean it every time just seems like a lot.
diapers, you'll need to wear one after eating your weight in cheese in the good old state of Missouri. The Show Me state is known for novelty-sized objects, like a 12-foot-long pecan, a 20-foot-tall chess piece, a 42-foot-tall rocking chair, and a 43-foot-tall rooster. But its biggest anomaly comes in the form of cheese caves. Under the city of Springfield, Missouri, lies a 3.2 million square foot refrigerated warehouse that was once a limestone quarry, which is used as a perishable supply chain storage for private companies. Rumors have persisted that in this weird little cave, not little, giant cave under the city, is where the government stores a 1.4 billion pound cheese surplus. But the owner of the warehouse, which is actually a company called Springfield Underground, denies the claims. But we'll find out soon when I break in there with a gun in my hand. I will find the cheese. You cannot stop me from getting to the cheese. Moving.
It would be funny though if this theory of the cheese
on from Missouri, I think we just talked about. I don't know. I took a day off in between filming this because it's so goddamn long. Next up, we have Montana, home of Purple Mountain's Majesty, whatever the that means. Sure, it's a little surprising that
Montana does look beautiful. That is a state I would like to visit, but only for like a long weekend. And I'm only saying long weekend. I would still be there for only 2 days, but long weekend so I can come back home and like chill for a day, you know?
the cheese caves are in Wisconsin, but it's not as surprising as the fact that the oldest family-owned Chinese restaurant in America.
If you're from Montana, name some spots that are really cool. Because I am hoping to go sometime this year.
America is in Montana. I just, how did they get there? This weird place to touch down. Most people don't think of Montana too often, but part of the vast nothingness of the Big Sky country includes a chop suey and fortune cookies. Around 1910, a little restaurant called Pekin Noodle Parlor opened up in Butte, Montana. At the time, this wasn't surprising somehow. In the late 19th century, thousands of Chinese immigrants helped build Montana's railroad and worked as miners. Pekin Noodle Parlor served comfort cuisine to the immigration population, but it was more than just a spot to grab a plate of chow mein. The basement was also an opium den and a gambling hall. In 1980, the FBI found and removed 3 sealed barrels of opium beneath the restaurant that were imported from China before the Vietnam War. And while you can no longer gamble or smoke opium here, you can still get a nice plate of Chinese food. But imagine owning a Chinese restaurant in the FBI.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
FBI comes and they're like, we think you have barrels of opium downstairs. And you're like, I wouldn't be surprised, but you can take it. We were just serving Chinese food. Also, I know opium is like smokable heroin. It's an opiate, but like, it just seems, I don't know. Chris, put up a picture of a drawing of an opium den from that time. Just seems like pleasure. You know? I don't know. I won't do it. It's fine. But while Montana was busy doing drugs and slurping delicious noodles, Nebraska was out and about making dumbass rules about donuts. And that's the best thing I could find about Nebraska. Really nothing going on there, so we're going to talk about their donut laws. From the late 1800s until 1997, it was illegal to sell donut holes in the town of Lay, Nebraska. Now, the reason for this ban has been lost to history. No one really knows why you can't do that, and that's just America, baby. Have some laws on the record that make no god sense. A pilgrim talked about it, so we gotta get it done. A local chairman theorized that the law might have come about from the idea that making donut holes was wasteful and led to undue profit at the expense of consumers. However, anyone who's ever had a double chocolate glazed munchkin knows that that's bullshit, and it's actually really good, and as a consumer, I want more of those, please. But whatever the official reason for the law, it was a radio host who finally got the ban repealed when they did a live show from Lay about the lack of donut holes. This stirred up publicity and got the ban in front of politicians, and they repealed the ban, and it's the one time in America where politicians actually did the right thing. I'm glad the people of Lay, Montana can now have a double chocolate frosty hole or whatever the f it is. It's so good. Now, of course, Nevada.
Okay, I will say, I don't love donut holes. I don't know. It's like I'd rather have a cookie if that's what you're gonna give me. But if people want donut holes, let them eat it. Freedom.
Nevada, next on the list, allows donut holes. They also allow you licking any kind of hole you want, baby. It's Nevada. Put your mouth on it. However, they do draw the line at a very peculiar point. In Reno, the place where you can do really whatever the hell you want in a much more discreet way than Vegas, in Reno, it is illegal to hold a marathon dance competition for cash prizes. Whatever the why? Apparently, this law came about during the Great Depression when marathon dance competitions became a popular fad. Well, honey, I can't afford a sack of corn this week, so you're gonna have to go down to the dance competition and just lose your marbles out there. Really get jigging with it. And if you don't, I'll smack you. I mean, that's what they did back then. I'm not making light of it. The sad reality is that these competitions were exploiting just how hard up Americans had become. On dozens of occasions, people danced for hundreds of hours just to win a little bit of cash. In 1931,
crazy.
Dorothy Dunwell collapsed after dancing for 1,200 hours. She died several days later, with the cause being supposedly pneumonia. But if you dance for 1,200 hours, something bad's gonna happen. The cool irony here was that Reno had already decided to ban marathon dance competitions, but the ordinance just hadn't taken effect. R.I.P. Dorothy, I'm sure you were f***ing grooving crazy, but also by the 1,000th hour, watching someone dance for that long, they must look insane. Just like gaunt. But you know where marathon...
Can people... So I've been to Reno, and I think I was there for like half a day. But can you guys from Reno, if you're watching this, tell me, why do you guys sell cantaloupe or give cantaloupe with every meal? I heard Lake Tahoe also does this, but I've never been to Lake Tahoe. I've only seen it in Reno. So I don't understand, why do you guys in that area give cantaloupe with everything? I wasn't mad because I love cantaloupe, but I was really confused.
Marathon dances are definitely legal in America, New Hampshire, with the state motto, live free or die. I hate seeing that on a license plate because I know a motherfucker is going to crash into me. Anyone who lives in New England knows New Hampshire drivers are absolutely the worst. I know Massachusetts gets the rap, but that's just because no one thinks about New Hampshire. New Hampshire drivers are fucking nightmares. But with that live free or die ethos, you know a lot of up shit goes on in these parts, and some of it is unexplained extraterrestrial stuff.
Yay, it's me!
Did you know they're all about aliens in New Hampshire? Bet you didn't. Bet you didn't even think about New Hampshire until I brought it up. I bet you forgot about New Hampshire between me saying New Hampshire this time and the last time. In 1961, the first known case of alien abduction was reported in New Hampshire. Husband and wife Betty and Barney Hill claimed that they were abducted while driving through the White Mountains. Their recollection of the events was hazy at first, though they both experienced anxiety and nightmares around the event. They sought the help of a psychiatrist who hypnotized them, and slowly they pieced together the events of their abduction, which included gray aliens, medical examinations, and three-dimensional map of alien trade routes. While their psychologist was skeptical, he was like, hey gang, you might both just be f***ing crazy. That's insane. The story caught the public's imagination. After a TV movie about the Hills' supposed abduction aired, there was a 2,500% increase in reports of alien abductions. So leave it to two liars in New Hampshire to really drum up business for Area 51. Also, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this was an interracial couple. I believe that's what it was. Might be big for history. I might be completely wrong though. Anyway, the Hills abduction and their races may always be a mystery, much like the location of the Lena Blackburn baseball rubbing mud. The New Jersey mud is rubbed on every single baseball used in the major leagues. We know that it comes from a spot along the Delaware River, but that's all we know. In 2024, scientists ran a series of tests to try and figure out if the mud actually had unique properties, and they found that its proportions of clay and sand particles are tailor-made for scuffing up fresh baseballs. And the reason why mud has to be rubbed on every enjoy MLB baseball is because the Yankees suck, and they always will suck. The Yankees. I'm not kidding though, a Yankee threw a wild pitch in 1920 that struck a batter in the head and killed him. Now Major League Baseball has attempted to replace the mud using synthetic materials, but even with the help of chemical conglomerate Dow, they haven't been able to make a product better than New Jersey mud. So thank you, New Jersey, for contributing mud, and that's pretty much it. What else? The front bottoms.
Wait a minute.
That's it. That's all they got. Now we're going to take a trip from muddy old dog New Jersey to New Mexico, where in the state it is illegal to trip a horse. Now, what? I know a lot of you are bummed out. You had a lot of horse tripping planned for the holidays. It all does sound totally...
I feel like you hear about cow tipping, but horse tripping, that's the that's the first time I hear about this.
random, and it's just usually posted online without context.
Whoa, wait, is this New Mexico? New Mexico, is this pretty? Damn, I might have to like drive to New Mexico and then to Arizona. Is that close? Not me judging Tucker's brother for not knowing, or Tuck's brother for not knowing that Alaska is not an island, but me like, is Arizona close to New Mexico?
We can just yuck it up at the desert folks. However, horse tripping is actually a tradition in many Mexican-style rodeos. It involves roping the front or hind legs of a horse to accumulate points. Obviously, this isn't great for the horses because they have those really buff upper parts of their body, but their little legs are spindly and can snap like a twig. Tripping a horse is considered a misdemeanor in New Mexico unless the horse is maimed or killed, in which case it becomes 4th-degree felony. So God bless them. Rodeos are f***ed up in the first place. You shouldn't kill a bull, and you shouldn't be f***ing with horses. So I'm all for that. Horses are gentle giants, and I love them when they eat apples out of my hand. It's only happened once, but I would do it every day for the rest of my life if I could. But is animal cruelty not your thing? Well, let's liven things up with a little bit of serial killers. We're talking about New York, baby. New York is the serial killer capital of America, leading the country with 18 recorded killers. Some of the most notorious killers include Joel Rifkin, who is believed to have killed as many 17 women between 1989 and 1993, and David Berkowitz, better known as the Son of Sam. Berkowitz went on a killing spree between 1976 and 1977, killing 6 and wounding 7, and famously sent an incredibly disturbing letter to the NYPD. Now, I won't read.
Wait, they got the guy? Oh, wait, no. I'm thinking about... I think there's one that did something similar in California that never got caught.
Read the full thing here because it's pretty disturbing, but this passage really stands out. I am the monster, Beelzebub, the chubby behemoth. I love to hunt, prowling the streets looking for...
This guy really just called himself a chubby behemoth? Oh my gosh, no. Oh, that's the funniest thing I've heard. I just hurt my hand. I need to hear that one more time.
PD. Now I won't.
Wait. Hold on. Ah, no. Okay. Okay.
PD. Now I won't read the full thing here because it's pretty disturbing, but this passage really stands out. I am the monster, Beelzebub, the chubby behemoth. I love to hunt, prowling the streets looking for fair game, tasty meat. Oh, and then he signs the letter, yours in murder, Mr. Monster. So obviously, there's a lot going on behind the scenes with this.
Oh my god. Ah. He's so annoying, Jesus. This is probably why he turned into a serial killer. He approached women talking like this, and then they're like, okay. And then he'd be like, yeah, let me take you home. And they're like, no, you freaking weirdo. They're like, oh god, women, they don't like me. What a freaking loser.
A little bit more complicated than your average serial killer. He thinks he's a chubby demon. Honestly, I think Chubby Behemoth might be my new go-to. That's my penis name now. Thank you so much, Son of Sam. Is he dead? I believe he is. But enough about killing horses and people. Let's go back to good old religious repression, shall we? In North Carolina, it is literally a misdemeanor for a man and a woman to have premarital sex. You f***ing dorks.
Oh.
Get some pussy, why don't you? The law dates back to 1805, establishing that an unmarried man and a woman cannot lewdly and lasciviously associate or live together. Now, there's a pretty good chance that this law is unconstitutional, and even more, it makes every lawmaker in North Carolina look like virgin pussies, virgin dork asses. Get some pussy, once again. But unlike other puritanical state laws, this one was exercised in recent memory. In 2005, a county sheriff found that his employee was living in sin with her boyfriend. He demanded that she either marry him, move out, or find another job, which is f***ed up. Let a lady live a little bit. So she quit, sued him, and won. But despite the victory in court, the law still remains. So the Tar Heels are a bunch of weirdos. One, they call themselves the Tar Heels, and two, they don't like vagina, and that scares me. But hey, let's take a gander at the other North state, North Dakota. I think there's only two of these bitches. North Dakota, North Virginia, or North Carolina. Is there a North Virginia? There is not a North Virginia. North Dakota really gives Indiana a run for its money on one boring-ass state. It's one of the least populated states, it's incredibly flat, and there's not much to do in terms of entertainment. There are a lot of supposed weird laws in North Dakota. Every state has a bunch. Like it's illegal to take a nap while wearing shoes, dance with a hat on, or serve pretzels with beer at a tavern. But turns out all of those are myths. However, there is one very unique thing about North Dakota that Republicans would hate, and it's the fact that it's the only state where you do not have to register to vote. Just show up to the polls with a valid ID and you're free to it in North Dakota, which is crazy to me because the
I think he's about to say what I was thinking, or at least trying to compute in my head right now. So I'm gonna let him speak.
Republicans are so into voter fraud that you think they'd be on top of this in North Dakota, but whatever. If you're gonna commit voter fraud, which you shouldn't, North Dakota's the place. Just letting you know. Next up is Ohio, and I have a lot of beef with Ohio. Way too many people live in Ohio. You have way too many major cities in your dumb little state for it to be reasonable. You have what? Cleveland, the other C. What are they? Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati? I think, right? Cincinnati, Ohio? That doesn't sound right. Regardless, I know there's 3 big cities with the letter C in front of them, and you sound like children in the Berenstein Bear family. You sound like a little kid book. Why you have 3? It's so ugly. And I also went gambling in one of
Honestly, it's really good to show how diverse the letter C is.
your major cities. I think it's whatever one has the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I went gambling there, and they just have a casino in the middle of the city, and you walk out. I won like $4,000, and they said, good luck getting home. There's a bunch of people out there waiting to beat the shit out of people who earn money and are walking around.
Sight.
Give me a fucking lift, dude. Jesus Christ. Oh no, Cincinnati is in Ohio because there's a Cincinnati chili, which is fucking a monstrosity. How is it even possible to fuck up chili? It seems like it would be impossible, but Ohio was
Why is the cheese not melted? What? What preposterous bullshit is this?
up to the task. But the weirdest thing about the Buckeye State has to be the Cuyahoga River. This hellish body of water found in Ohio is so polluted that in 1881, the mayor of Cleveland called it an open sewer flowing through the center of the city. Good God, how badly do you have to that up? That's a thing your mayor is saying. It's so polluted that it caught on fire not once, not twice, but thrice. The river was on fire. Oh, sorry, I misread that. Not thrice. 13 times the river caught on fire. What is in your river? Is it a river of gasoline? The last time it happened was in 1969, and it spawned an outcry from environmentalists. Even though it's been half a century since the last Ohio River fire, the story is seared into our collective consciousness. No.
Oh my god, I'm trying to... Oh, no. I was just thinking about Flint, Michigan. And I'm like, I don't think they have fixed the water issue, or can fix the water issue in Flint, Michigan.
No wonder in brain rot slang, Ohio means cringe. At least that's what I've been told. I am not a 5-year-old. Now, while a lot of states have an official food, Oklahoma is the only state with an official meal. They like to...
Ohio also means either good morning or hello in Japanese. I don't remember. Someone, if you know Japanese, let me know what Ohio means in Japanese.
They like all the bits in there. Now, I'm gonna read this off to you now, and keep in mind this isn't a menu, it's a meal, and they've decided to make it's their state meal. Barbecued pork, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuits and gravy, fried okra, corn squash, black-eyed peas, grits, cornbread, strawberries, and a slice of pecan pie. Hey, Oklahoma, you get to pick one food. This is f***ing cheating. You can't be going all out like that. This meal was approved by the Oklahoma legislature in 1988, and every item had a cultural significance to the state. Though it really just sounds like an inmate's last meal, and once again, it's pretty f***ing selfish in my opinion. And coming as a surprise to no one, Oklahoma has the highest heart disease mortality rate in America. Maybe a little less pecan.
I was gonna say with all the fried food. That makes sense. Also, Chef knows someone that moved to Oklahoma. And I'm just like, ew. Why? If you live in Oklahoma as an adult and you're actively choosing to live in Oklahoma, can you tell me why? Tell me why. Just because, I don't know, it doesn't seem like there's much to do in Oklahoma. There might be, I don't know. Not a state that I've looked much into. But I would like to know, like, if there are any perks. Aside from it being cheap in Oklahoma. Because, like, unfortunately, I cannot do my full-time job in every or any state. So, I would have to look into it. And then also, I probably wouldn't get paid as well either. So, yeah.
And pie and a little bit more. Shutting the f*** up. Next up is Oregon. The only thing I know about Oregon is Portland. I don't know what else happens in that weird ass state. The quirky nature of Portland was immortalized in the
I do love this show a lot. Like, this show is the funniest show I've ever seen. I love Fred. He's such a funny guy.
millennial hip
And her Carrie, she's also really funny. The duo is Chef's Kiss. You do have to take it with a grain of salt, because some of the jokes probably have not aged well. So yeah.
hipster TV show Portlandia, but none of their comedic sketches compared to the real-life insanity that occurred in Florence, Oregon in 1970. That November, a dead sperm whale had washed up on the shore of one of their beaches. The Oregon State Highway Division was responsible for removing the carcass, which was an incredible task considering it weighed 16,000 pounds. So they came up with a great idea. Imagine me in the highway patrol office. All right, boys. We got this big ass whale on the ground there, and we don't really know what to do with it. And Tommy, he blew his back out trying to pull it back into the water. So I have an idea. Let's blow it the f up. We got dynamite. How many? We got 16 sticks of dynamite. Throw it in that thing's mouth and see what happens. I don't know. I'm not working on the holidays. I'm not doing it. 20 sticks of dynamite to blow this bitch up. This is one of those when all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail scenarios, because I assume the Oregon Highway Division was sitting on a ton of dynamite. They blew the whale up, and a bunch of dead whale chunks went flying into the air, and they were so big that it literally was destroying cars in the area. The legend of this day grew, and the video resurfaced online in 2006, quickly becoming viral. Now, locals in Florence celebrate Exploding Whale Day every November 12th at Exploding Whale Memorial Park. And that seems like a place that I should go to, because I love going to dumb f***ing places. But hey, at least Oregon got rid of their whale. That's more than Pennsylvania can say for the Centralia mine fire. First of all, Pennsylvania, home of Philadelphia, a garbage city. I don't know if I already mentioned that. No, I mentioned that in the Black Friday video. Philadelphia. But the
Oregon is another place that I would be like, yeah, I would love to go there. Oregon and Washington. They sound like really pretty places.
Centralia mine fire is pretty much the whole state's problem. This underground fire broke out in 1962 when a controlled burn of a residential trash got out of hand in an abandoned underground coal mine. But I mean, I understand blowing up a whale carcass. No one's ever done that before, so I can understand how you'd be a little bit dumb about the situation. But maybe didn't anyone think that for a moment a fire in a coal mine would go poorly? Coming as a shock to no one, firefighters showed up to try and put out the blaze, but it reached more flammable material and quickly spread through the interconnected mining tunnels beneath Centralia. Eventually the fire spread over 6 square miles and reached the depths of 300 feet. From 1962 to 1978, the government spent $3.3 million trying to control the fire with zero results. Citizens and businesses left the area as noxious gas filled the air and the ground collapsed into sinkholes. The fire is literally burning to this day, and experts suggest that it's going to take 250 years for all the coal to fully burn out. So there's a whole area in Philadelphia that is literally hell underground. That sounds so cool.
We're gonna have to find it and watch a video about it. That's insane.
Cool, and I really want to go there. Next up is Rhode Island. Remember all that shit I said about New Hampshire? I was lying. I meant to say it about Rhode Island. They have the worst drivers. I just get those two states mixed up because they're both nothing states in my mind. But anyway, Rhode Island is sexual. They don't know how to drive, and they're sexual, and we're going to talk about it. I'm not just talking about normal sex either. I'm talking about the titillating taboo of fest. Immediately demonetized. Bummer. Chris, just go crazy with the bleeps here, because I don't know what I can do.
Of what? I'm gonna go back and see if I can decipher what he says.
So cool, and I really want to go there. Next up is Rhode Island. Remember all that shit I said about New Hampshire? I was lying. I meant to say it about Rhode Island. They have the worst drivers. I just get those two states mixed up because they're both nothing states in my mind. But anyway, Rhode Island is sexual. They don't know how to drive, and they're sexual, and we're going to talk about it. I'm not just talking about normal sex either. I'm talking about the titillating taboo of fest.
Of the hub?
Really demonetized. Bummer. Chris, just go crazy with the bleeps here, because I don't know what I can do. Did you have to bleep that? I don't know. The smallest state in the union considers consensual legal between those 16 years or older.
Could a father not marry his son?
What?
Well, there are laws against incest.
To be clear, sexual relationships cannot get married in Rhode Island. That would be too much. We don't want to get God involved. But somehow, lawmakers think marrying your brother or sister is crazier than the family reunion devolving into a picnic salad fest. So just don't marry your cousin, but God can you plow them out. Rhode Island, a garbage state full of garbage people. But you know who else likes it? Rhesus monkeys. But they won't have to move to Rhode Island to juice their siblings' nethers because they have their own island off the coast of South Carolina. Technically, it's called Morgan Island, but most locals would just call it Monkey Island because—
Wait, what? That's such a crazy segue. I'm still trying to wrap my head around Rhode Island. What the heck? Rhode Island? Aren't you guys in the north? I thought that kind of stuff was for the south. I thought that was country hillbilly shenanigans. What? I don't think I've met anyone from Rhode Island either. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's a beautiful state.
because it's an island full of monkeys. No shit.
Hey.
It's home to thousands of monkeys and 0 humans. The monkey breeding colony was originally started in Puerto Rico, but the monkeys often escaped and caused outbreaks of herpes among the human population. Puerto Rico wanted to get rid of their STD-riddled banana boys, and that's when South Carolina stepped in, for some reason. In 1974, 1,400 monkeys were relocated to Morgan Island, and today there are over 4,000 monkeys roaming freely and f***ing the living daylights out of one another. And look, I don't want to bring a sad conclusion to this fun
What if they can swim? Or they learn how to swim?
little story, but we're not just letting these monkeys have a good life and have sex all day on a fun little island. They're owned by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and they're used for public health research. So probably these monkeys are dying horrific deaths, so we know what's gonna happen when we get the flu every year. They're monkeys. Monkeys make me angry. They're very mean, so I don't really feel that bad about monkeys. I'm really nice about most animals, but monkeys, they like bite their dicks. They're assholes. Unless when they're really fat. I love looking at monkeys. Don't like being near them. Little fact about me. But hey, let's do a hard pivot away from monkey prisoners being used as human sacrifices. So, South Dakota. I don't know. Mount Rushmore? Ever heard of it? It might be known for Mount Rushmore, but they're also known for another little thing called Potato Days. Clark, South Dakota has a long history as a potato producer, and in 1992, they decided to throw a party called Potato Days to celebrate. But it wasn't until 1995 that Potato Days hosted the event it's now known for, mashed potato wrestling. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's the 90s, getting girls to wrestle in Jell-O or mud was all the rage, it was all horny. That is not what these people are doing. It's nothing sexual about this. It's 2 grown men wrestling in mashed potatoes. I actually don't know if this is sexual. I struggled to find any information about this, especially when it's held directly after.
I'm only gonna watch it if they're pouring gravy on each other and licking it off. Otherwise, ugh.
The Little Miss and Master Tater Tot competition, which are just weird potato-themed kids pageants. So someone find out if this is sexual or not for me. I'd really appreciate it. Hello, it's a few days later now because my mic died in the middle of making this, and it's one of my longer videos, and it made me really mad, but we're going to move on right next.
It is a very long video.
We're talking about Tennessee now. In Knoxville, Tennessee, it is illegal to advertise for...
Every time I think about Tennessee, I think about Glorilla. Oh my gosh, and her Memphis, Tennessee accent. I don't know if it's just like specific to Memphis or if everyone from Tennessee, but if that's like a normal accent in all of Tennessee, let me know. Because I'm gonna have to make some more friends from Tennessee.
Fortune-telling businesses. You'd think Knoxville, Tennessee would have a couple more things to be worried about, but whatever. And anyone who breaks this rule is subject to a $144.50 fine. Which, who gives a f? The specific language of the law is actually really funny. They really cover all of their bases, even mentioning that you are not allowed to advertise that you can locate an oil well. I guess it makes sense. It's kind of the South, you know? So like finding oil was a big deal at one point. I just imagine someone in the town center being like, I can find you oil using my third eye. And then an official had to come in and be like, guys, stop listening to Tom. He's obviously lying. I will make a law about this because you guys look stupid. But the real fun is looking at the laundry list of practices that Knoxville lawmakers include in their language, which includes occult or psychic powers, faculty or forces, clairvoyance, psychology, which is, okay, that's an actual thing, psychometry, spirit, spiritualism, mediumship, sayership, prophecy, astrology, palmistry, necromancy, graphology, or other crafts, science, just science, they just put the word science, cards, talismans, charms, potions, magnetism, and magnetized articles or substances, oriental mysteries. The Tennessee, that is not the preferred nomenclature. But I mean, overall, a quick Google search will tell you that getting a psychic in Tennessee is pretty easy. So obviously they don't take this law seriously. Doesn't seem like this law has stopped any grifter from preying on the dumb and vulnerable. And
the way they included psychology and science in this, like, hello. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Tennessee, are you guys okay? Blink really fast if you need help. Write SOS in the comments if you need help.
I have a big stink with psychics. It's all bullshit. My mother is really into psychics. Jill, you gotta stop. You gotta stop going to those people. They're lying to you. You're giving them money to make up stories and tell you where our dead dog is. Our dog went missing, and she still asks them about it. Jill, please stop. We're worried about you. All right, number 43. Speaking of irresponsible people, you know how Texas's whole vibe is, I drive a big truck, eat slabs of beef, and we'll stomp a mud hole in your ass if you talk about my mama? Well, it's all wrapped up in the whole ethos of don't mess with Texas, which is their weird state slogan. That slogan has come to represent this archetype of a super conservative and patriotic Texan who wants to burn fossil fuels and throw McDonald's wrappers out the window of a moving monster truck. But the sweet irony of it is that the Don't Mess with Texas slogan actually comes from a...
Let us pollute. I'm just kidding. That's not good for the environment.
1985 anti-littering campaign, which would be the exact opposite of where I thought that would come from. Who would have thought that Texas's slogan is super woke? You absolute dorks, can I get a few yeehaws for DEI? In 2006, Don't Mess with Texas was voted America's favorite slogan, beating Just Do It and Got Milk. And the campaign and slogan were so effective that it's actually credited with reducing litter in the Lone Star State by 72%. But I just want to know, in 2006, who was taking that survey? Because who across America would say that Don't Mess with Texas was the best slogan besides people who live in Texas? I live in Massachusetts, or I did. And if someone said, what's the best slogan? I would say, I don't know, got milk? Well, don't mess with Texas. I don't give a about them people. All right, number 44, next on the list, Utah. Are we gonna talk about Mormons? Let's find out. Obviously, Utah is known for Mormons and their assorted wonders and Jell-O. I did a whole video about Jell-O, and for some reason, Mormons and the state of Utah are intertwined with Jell-O in a way that you would never expect. But what might actually really surprise you is Utah's connection to Colonel Sanders. The guy from KFC, K standing for Kentucky. I'm sure we're all a little confused right now. Though Sanders was from Kentucky, Salt Lake City is the home of the world's first Kentucky Fried Chicken. In 1952, Sanders shared his recipe with a friend and a cafe owner in Utah as he was passing through town, and in a matter of weeks, customers were lining up for his sweet, sweet chicken recipe. This gave Colonel Sanders the idea to franchise his chicken restaurant, and now there's over 100 billion KFCs in America. I'm guesstimating. Harmon's Cafe, the location of the first Kentucky
Church's chicken is better than KFC. And Zaxby's? God tier. Fight me!
Fried Chicken is now a KFC museum where you can get a bucket of chicken while staring at Colonel Sanders memorabilia. All a fantastic remembrance of a time in history where you could dress up like a slave owner and just walk around. That looks like the guy who owned all the slaves in Django Unchained. That is a crazy fit to be rocking. All right, number 45, we're getting close. Vermont. You guys remember Vermont? I didn't. In 1856, Vermont passed a law that women must get written permission from their husbands before they can get dentures. You gotta talk to your husband before you get them pearly whites. The law was passed after a case of Gilman v. Andrus, where a husband refused to pay a dentist for his wife's false teeth. So it's crazy that the sexist law came about because a woman went and got dentures and a fella was just like, I'm not paying that shit. I didn't tell you to do that. Fuck you. Take the teeth out of her head. I'm not paying. And everyone said it would be a lot easier to repress women than to punish this one man. And that's why Vermont has that dumbass law. And while it's an incredibly sexist law that is never enforced, they never overturned it. So just be careful the next time you're a lady getting dentures in Vermont, because you might be put in jail or some shit. I don't know what's going on up there. Number 46, Virginia. Did you forget about Virginia? It's easy to forget about all these states. They're mostly worthless. In 1969, an ad agency created the Virginia is for Lovers slogan to drum up tourism, and considering the state's thirsty history, it was pretty
I thought it was Ohio is for lovers. Virginia is for lovers? Oh.
fitting. Also, Virginia is for Lovers is a slogan that was invented in 1969. Boomers are horny as f. But it makes sense because in 1804, the first ever recorded streaker happened in Virginia. It happened at Virginia's Washington College, and even in the 19th century, college students loved running around doing light sex crimes. The student who dropped trow and showed everyone his pecker was named George William Crump. Crump. That man, no way with the last name Crump you have a penis that is big. Crump was suspended for a semester, but then a political figure came to his rescue. Very famous political figure. Can we guess who it was? The year is 1804. That's right, Confederate General Robert E. Lee showed up and said, let this young man show his
Whoops.
penis. Robert E. Lee called the act a rite of passage, and over the next century, it became a common occurrence on college campuses and during sporting events. And as for Crump, he would become a successful politician as a congressman and an ambassador to Chile. He showed his penis to everybody. Number 47, Washington State. Not Washington, D.C. We're not going to talk about Washington, D.C. today, because for some reason it's still not a state, and I don't understand the politics of that. But regardless, in the 1940s, Washington State's Boeing plant was the 5th largest aircraft manufacturer in America. And after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, boo, Japan, what are you doing? Tensions about another aerial attack were high. Officials decided to camouflage Boeing by making it look like an entire city instead of a manufacturing site. To help make this illusion possible, they hired a little fella named John Stewart I don't know, but he was an art director and set designer for MGM Studios. The imaginary town would be referred to as Boeing Wonderland and featured 3 major streets complete with alleys and driveways, 300 artificial trees, 53 homes, a store, and a gas station. The houses were built with wood and canvas, and the trees were made with chicken feathers, for some reason. That's what you had to do in that time to make trees, but 2 of the fake homes were built to be occupied by Army anti-aircraft gunmen. So it was a fun town to live in. I had a great time growing up. Boeing Wonderland was a weird open secret during the war, with locals knowing what was going on, but understanding that it wasn't something to talk about openly. And as soon as the Japanese surrendered, the fake city was dismantled, leaving only a few photo ops to ever prove its existence at all. I feel like we should be doing that more nowadays. Just if you're an Amazon factory, make a fun little town out of it. Make a little Christmas village about oppressive labor laws. I'm running out of steam here, guys. Number 48, West Virginia. It's no secret that West Virginians love pizza. Is it? What the is that sentence? Who the thinks that? The town of Huntington famously has more pizzerias than gyms. This stat comes up a lot online. Even NBC and Runner's World have reported on it. But the more I read it, the more I'm like, no I mean, there's like probably 10 pizzerias in my hometown and only 2 You're always gonna have more pizzerias than gyms. Am I wrong for thinking that? It's easier to do that than it's easier to run a restaurant than open a gym.
He's not wrong.
Right? I don't know. Either way, West Virginia is the most obese state, which is, I guess I could see the connection now. They also watch the most TV out of any given state. So not only do they eat a ton of bad food, they also like to sit on their big fat asses and watch the telly. So not looking good, West Virginia. I wish I could say more, but I've driven through your state and it is kind of sad. You guys need to pick it up. Pick it up a little bit, West Virginia. All right, number 49, Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin. I love spotted cow beer. In the Badger State, which apparently is the nickname for Wisconsin, which I absolutely love, it's illegal for a restaurant to serve margarine or any other butter substitute. They were like, I can't believe it's not butter. More like, I can't believe you're trying to serve that to me. I will shoot you with a gun in your face. Now, there is a catch. Someone can go to a restaurant and specifically ask for like
there we
margarine
go.
or a butter substitute, and they can be given that, but it can't be served outright without asking for it first. The law was created in 1895 as a way to protect dairy farmers and consumers. At the time, many companies were trying to pass off dairy substitutes as the real thing, so a law banning margarine from restaurants was seen as legislation against fraud. And thanks to these odd laws, Wisconsin is now an insane dairy mecca, which makes about $45.6 billion worth of dairy annually. Holy shit. I love their cheese curds. If you guys need cheese curds, go to Wisconsin. Holy shit, it changed my life. And you can't get cheese curds in Massachusetts because it's technically illegal to sell unpasteurized milk, and that's what cheese curds are. So if you get like poutine, they'll just chop up some mozzarella on your. It is not the same. Go to Wisconsin if you want cheese curds. If you are visiting this country, go to Wisconsin and get some cheese curds. All right, finally, number 50, Wyoming. And I've made a lot of jokes about forgetting states, but Wyoming is literally the most forgettable state in this great nation. Wyoming has the smallest population in America with less than 600,000 citizens. With a population this small and spread out, the state doesn't have that many multi-story buildings, which is why in all 97,000 square miles of land, there are only 2 escalators. And in somewhat anticlimactic fashion, they are both in banks. I can't think of, I can think of a million reasons to have an escalator. Cannot think of one to put inside of a bank. Why is your bank 2 floors? To put it in perspective, Wyoming has as many escalators as they do have national parks and U.S. senators. There actually used to be a 3rd escalator at the JCPenney's in Cheyenne, but the building was renovated and the escalator was removed. Wyoming has gone more than 40 years without an escalator, and they don't see anything on the horizon about escalators in their future. I said that so wrong, but I am so tired, guys. Jesus Christ. So in conclusion, if you ever thought this great country we're so grateful for was normal, I submit to you these 50 dumbass state facts. From never-ending coal mine fires to raffling off raw meat at neighborhood bars, we're the land of the free, home of the brave, and the absolutely insane. The internet is a wasteland of quirky facts about each state, and I tried my best to find ones that a lot of people don't talk about, but I like to get the gossip from the horse's mouth. So if you guys, I'm sure some of you live in some dumb states and you know some real gossipy drama nearby, so let me know if there's some facts that a lot of people don't know about your state, so you can put it in the comments and I can read them. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was a long one. If I get demonetized, I'm going to cry. Like, comment, and subscribe. I actually do all of those things. New videos every Saturday and sometimes Wednesday. And shout out the extra Tugglets. Like I said, I think today's Black Friday, or tomorrow is, or whatever. So if you guys are interested to get a Big Tug subscription, just use code SELLOUT and you get $1. You get it for $1 for your first month. New people only, but still, it's really good. And you get your name at the end of the video. God, I feel so bad for Chris. He's gonna put a bunch of people do this. He's gonna do a lot of that. You gotta put your name at the end of the video. You get 4 videos a month that are not good for YouTube, but they're good for Extra Tug because they're dirty and raunchy and we show penises sometimes. And also, I answer comments and I answer your guys' questions on that site. And I'm stalling because I assume there's gonna be a lot more new names. I think we had 270 people sign up on the first day, so probably a huge up on my part, but anything for the people. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna take this dumb pilgrim costume off and I'm gonna go to bed. Thank you. Goodbye.
Oh no, let me
write this down.
wait.
Black Friday, an apocalyptic
I need to
day
read
where
the comments. I'm high as a and was so confused why this guy just started speaking gibberish like 20 minutes in. Turns out I somehow made the audio Indonesian. Bro. As a psychopath, I can confirm we're American. Oh, okay. Are you in New York? In Ohio, our Supreme Court has ruled that boneless wings can have bones in them. Even life-threatening small bone fragments. Huh? Wait, I thought... I mean, this one is from a few months ago. But I thought... I think I just saw. I don't know if it's... Maybe I dreamt it. Buffalo BB Dubs just got... They got sued. And they lost their lawsuit. Because they're not... So now... They are not able to call boneless wings boneless. They're like chicken nuggies. The Olympics is a stupidly expensive venture. True. In Australia, we're still paying blah blah blah. We're still paying billions of dollars in upkeep for stadiums we didn't really need, but built in the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Oh, hell no. They have only gotten more expensive since then. Good work, Colorado. I feel like to build an Olympic training facility is smart in Colorado because you're in higher elevation, which means once you go down to regular sea level or lower elevation, you're gonna be in like beast mode because you'll be able to breathe. There's nothing to blah blah blah. There's nothing to say here because you will never meet someone from Alaska. As a lifelong Alaskan, I felt that. Aww. Wait a minute. Today isn't Saturday. No, for me it's Friday. As one of the 3 people from Wyoming, I didn't see an escalator until I went to Denver and was immediately horrified at people eating stairs. People eating stairs? What? In New Mexico, it is completely legal to fly a hot air balloon completely drunk. Many guys who fly hot air balloons are always hammered, and no one cares. Bro, that's crazy. That is insane. I used to want to go on a hot air balloon because I know New Mexico has their hot air balloon festival. It has like a specific name, or maybe that is the name. um, but like it looks really pretty. Like the hot air balloon festival looks really pretty, and I'm like, oh, you can like go up in the sky, and it'd be a beautiful moment. And then I saw how those things are landed. Yeah, how they land those things, and I was like, oh, fuck no, I'm not doing that. I would die of a heart attack, and now to know that these people are drunk, not doing it. There was even a wedding in unclaimed baggage through TLC's extreme cheapstakes. They found a dress, suits, and rings to do it at the center itself. That's crazy. And I thought Chef and I had a very inexpensive wedding. Cranberry jam is served with turkey because turkey used to be a game meat, and cranberry sauce is intended to help to reduce the gamey flavor of game meats. I would say turkey is still pretty gamey. The fact that Tucker practically skipped over Florida, then went straight to talking about a city in Georgia that has the name of one of our cities destroyed me mentally. Yes, honestly, I was like, Gainesville's in Florida, right? But I don't know. States repeat same cities, and it's really confusing to me sometimes, but it is what it is. In other news, grass is green. Alright, cool. Sometimes, though, it is not green because it dies down. As a PA native, Pennsylvania, I think, uh, Centralia used to have an abandoned highway called Graffiti Highway where for 2 to 3 miles was completely covered in tags. And you can BMX and ATV there. About 4 years ago, the government came in and bulldozed it out. Aww. See, kids can't be kids nowadays. How are they supposed to go and touch grass? Alright, I'm gonna stop here. If you live in any of these states or want to share anything additionally, please feel free to comment. I would like some of my questions to be answered. I already forgot what my questions were, but if you want to answer them, that'd be really cool because then I'd be like, oh wow, a fun new fact. If you're from any of the states I mentioned, I don't know anyone from, that would be very cool too. That way I can know someone from every state. That would be really cool. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. It's my first time saying that. But if you want to go check out more of these videos, go to Big Tug. All right. Bye, guys. I hope you have a good night.